God doesn't take away the darkness. God gives us the light so we can walk through it. One question, one answer, and a perspective that could change the way you think. About God, about love, and about what truly matters. This isn't the story you think it is. It's not about power or politics. It's about something much deeper, something universal. It was a private evening, the kind where barriers come down. No flashing cameras, no pressing reporters, just a room filled with people who might seem larger than life, but in that moment were simply human. Comfortable chairs, low lighting, casual conversation. You could almost forget these were some of the most influential minds in the world. Among them was Angela Merkel, composed, sharp, someone who carried a calm authority. Beside her, Donald Trump, larger than life as always, but different that night. Quieter, reflective. The atmosphere was oddly intimate, almost vulnerable. People weren't leaders, presidents, or representatives tonight. They were just people. A light hum of conversation filled the room, snippets of memories being shared, light jokes, laughter here and there, the echoes of glasses being set back down on tables. But then, Angela did something unexpected. Her voice cut through the air, soft yet deliberate, and she turned to Donald Trump. "Donald," she asked with a curious yet serious expression, "what does God mean to you?" There was a hush, the kind of pause that feels like more than silence. It wasn't awkward. It was heavy. You could feel the weight of the question sinking into the room, making everyone around the table stop in their tracks. Donald Trump, bold, outspoken, confident, leaned back slightly in his chair. He didn't laugh it off, didn't brush aside her words like one might expect. Instead, his face changed, just for a moment. There was a flicker of something deeper, something more thoughtful. He exhaled, and with that breath, the bravado faded. "You know, Angela," he began, his voice quieter than usual, "that's not an easy question. Not for me, not for anyone. But I'll tell you what God means to me." The room leaned in, figuratively and literally. Even those who may have been distracted a moment before sat up, eyes glued to Trump. Because his tone wasn't confident or deflective, it was raw. "For a long time," he said, "I thought God was just there to hand out favors. You know? You pray when you need something, like a vending machine. You put in your prayers, you make a good deal, boom, you get what you're asking for. That's how I saw it when I was younger. It was a transaction, not a relationship." He looked down for a moment, pausing as though he was searching for the right words. "But I learned, the hard way, that life doesn't work like that. I always thought I was in control, that if I worked hard enough, was smart enough, or bold enough, nothing could touch me. But then life reminded me just how small I really am." Angela's eyes softened, her head tilted slightly, her focus unwavering. Trump glanced around the room, but it wasn't like he was looking at people. It was like he was looking through them, beyond them, to something deeper. "There was a moment in my life," he continued, his voice breaking slightly, "when I lost someone I loved very much. Someone I thought I'd have forever. And it crushed me. You see, when you lose someone like that, there's no deal you can make, no fortune you can hand over. You can't negotiate, can't buy that person back. They're just gone." The room sat still, heavy with his words. Even the faintest murmur of shifting chairs or clinking glasses had vanished. Trump clenched his jaw, visibly emotional, but pushed forward. "I didn't know how to handle it. I was angry. Angry at myself for not appreciating them enough. Angry at the universe. Angry at God. And I shook my fists, asking, why? Why would you do this to me, to them? What's the point?" Angela's lips parted, as though she wanted to speak, but the words didn't come. She just sat there listening, her eyes shimmering faintly under the warm lights. "And then," Trump said, leaning forward slightly, "I heard something, a story. A story that changed everything for me. It was about a little boy and his mother. This boy, he wasn't more than 5 or 6 years old, and he lost his younger sister. She was just a baby, too young, too innocent. And this little boy, he kept asking his mom over and over, "Why did God take her? Why?" Trump's voice cracked slightly, but he didn't stop. He pushed through, his words laden with emotion. And his mother, who just lost her baby, looked at him with tears in her eyes and said, "God didn't take her, honey. God welcomed her, because sometimes love is so big it can't fit on this earth." He paused, letting those words linger, letting them sink in. The room was red-eyed now. No one dared blink for fear of missing the next word. "That story stayed with me," Trump continued, his tone softer now, almost like a whisper. "Because it reminded me of something simple, something I'd been overlooking my whole life. God doesn't take, God welcomes. God doesn't leave us to suffer alone. God gives us the love we need to carry the pieces forward." Then, with a deep breath, he leaned back in his chair. "And I realized something, Angela. God isn't in the big moments, not in the deals, not in the victories, not in the power plays. God is in the little moments, when a mother tries to comfort her grieving child, when a stranger gives without expecting anything in return, when you look back and realize the people you've loved. They've shaped everything you are." There was a tear rolling down Angela Merkel's cheek now, though she wasn't hiding it. She kept her composure, but her eyes were filled with something unspoken. Maybe gratitude, maybe understanding. She broke the silence. Her voice, usually steady and calm, trembled slightly as she said, "Donald, I don't know what to say. But I think you're right. I think God isn't something we reach for when we need a favor. God is what remains when everything else falls away. God is love." Trump nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips, though the sadness lingered in his eyes. "That's it, Angela. God is love. And love never dies. It carries on. It carries us all." The room remained silent, not because there was nothing more to say, but because no one dared break the sacredness of the moment. And me? I'll never forget that night, that question, that answer. It changed something in all of us. Because for a brief, extraordinary moment, in a room full of world leaders and powerhouses, we were reminded of what truly matters. God isn't about asking or taking. God is in the love we give, the love we leave behind, and the love that carries us when we can't carry ourselves. And isn't that worth remembering?